Hey everyone, this is Randy from BibleByGuide.com. Today I'm taking a look at a soon-to-be-released Bible from Church Bible Publishers. This is the 180 large print text hand-size Bible in camouflage, in camo. The 180 RL, so it's a red letter, in camouflage. Now this is iron calfskin with a synthetic liner, but I would have thought that was leather. It really does look like leather to me. Let's see, we have perimeter stitching. That's a thicker leather than what I've seen from their other iron calfskin editions. It's not quite as smooth as the other iron calfskin I've seen from them. I like this better, actually. A little bit more texture to it, a little bit rough. I like that. It just feels sturdy, feels tough. It doesn't feel like it would scratch easy. I had it in a hot car. It didn't, well, hot-ish car, and it didn't warp or anything like that. So it really feels well made, feels structured. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spine ribs with gold printing, and Smythe sewn, of course, so that it will stay open really well. This is the 180, which is a reprint of the old Cambridge large print text, which we'll compare to in just a little bit. In the front, we have, well, first, it is edge line, so there's the edge line tab. Now that tab is kind of large, and it's a little bit stiff. So when you see pages like this, that's on purpose. Don't pull those apart. That tab is glued inside there. Several thick end sheets to give structure, which I'm always glad they include those. Good for notes too. And then we have the old Cambridge style presentation pages. Has a lot of space at the bottom, so they look like they're either shifted up or they're just printed that way on purpose. I'm not sure which. But we have the presentation, family records with children, marriages, grandchildren, and then deaths, 2 for marriages. And then this is in black with the rest of them are in blue. So we have right here, made in USA. And we have item number 180 RL Camo, Church Bible Publishers. And the paper seems to be the same paper that they use on their 120 series and others that I've reviewed from them. It seems to be a little different from the note takers. Has a little bit of show through, mostly because of how dark the font is. It does have the epistle dedicatory to James and the translators to the reader. The entire document. And then we get into our text. And then, of course, we have the guide, self-pronouncing guide, and then we have our index to where all the books are. And this is the text. It is a plain text only, so no references, no footnotes or anything like that, just the text. 10-point font, really dark. I like reading from this, really dark. A little bit of show through, and some lighting is better than others, so it just depends. It's not that bad. It's not too bad. And then it's fairly easy to turn. The only time I have any issues at all are if my hands are cold or, if the weather's right or something like that and the pages stick together. But right now they're not sticking together at all. I like to grab them and just rub them together to pull them apart. No issues at all. No trouble. And there's some of the self-pronouncing marks. So this is a self-pronouncing text. Now, like I said, the tab is a little stiff, so it'll take a little bit to open up in Genesis. I've only had this about a week, and I haven't gotten to preach from it because of a pandemic going on, but I have used it quite a bit. I've read from it quite a bit. I enjoy reading from this. Across the top, we have the book name, chapter number on the outer margin, and then in the inner margin, we have the page summaries, and then we have the page number in the bottom. In the footer with about a 1/2-inch margin, the bottom and on the sides. And like I said, this is a red letter edition. We'll look at that in a minute. When this does finally break in well enough so that lays flat, you won't have any issues with the text bending into the gutter. It does have a decent amount of gutter space. Really well. And then there is our red letter. Bold red. That is a dark, bold red. So if you're a fan of bold red letter, you'll like this one. I like this a lot. I do. And then in the very back, red letter goes all the way through Revelation. If you're going to have red letter, you might as well go all the way through Revelation. It's my opinion. The consistency of this print is impressive. Red letter is more difficult to get consistent. The black is not as big of a deal. It's easier to get consistent, but this red is very consistent. This is about the most consistent red I've seen. There's a little bit of variation, just barely, but you got to be looking for it. I mean, I don't know if you can see a difference there and there. You got to be looking for it, really. And it's so small. No, it's so small, it's not a big deal. But in the back we have the 200-page concordance, 196-page concordance that they use in the Journal Bible that I just reviewed, the journaling edition that I reviewed a week or two ago. I like this concordance. A lot of material in there, really good for sermon prep, for study. And then after the concordance, they've added back in the map index. 1 page for notes. Might as well call it notes. We have our 15 maps. This is the same maps that they use in all their editions, the old Cambridge maps. But then we have the map index. And this is also the Cambridge map index. I'm glad they had that. Some of the editions that they've produced recently have not had the map index. I like to see that in there because it just makes these maps easier to use. These are pretty good maps, really good and colorful. Some of the text is a little bold, so it kind of runs together almost, and a little bit of it, some of it is a little bit small, but kind of difficult, a little bit difficult to read in some places, but it's not that bad. And then this also, it looks like it shifted up a little bit, so we have a lot of space down here. And that's the gist of that one. I love that camouflage. It looks like real camo. I'm not an expert on camouflage, but I am from a military family, and my stepfather at least. And then this doesn't look like somebody's trying to make camouflage and don't know what they're doing. It looks like real camouflage to me. So we have our greens and our tans, and not quite black, but almost. Really nice. So let's compare. Well, let's take a look at our sizing. We have 5 3/4 by 8 3/4 by about 1 1/2. So that's a good size for carry, good size to hold open to read, because I like to read holding with one hand. That works the best for me. That's my preferred method. I just do that. And then it's really good for preaching. I have preached from the 180 before, and I like it for preaching. And then let's weigh. Get my fancy scale out here. This is a kitchen scale. 2 pounds, 3.6 ounces. So let's go ahead and do some comparisons to a few other Church Bible Publishers editions. The first on the list is the Handsize Turquoise. This is their center column reference. It's a reduced version of the turquoise. This one is black letter. And it does have a concordance, but this is the Cambridge concordance and then the Cambridge maps with index. About the same size, just about. Almost identical. But then here is how our text compares. Being a reference edition, of course, it's going to have a slightly smaller text. But there's what they look like. And I will zoom. I think these make a really good combo. Work together really well. Good set of Bibles. Next is the 120 from Church Bible Publishers. It is slightly wider. Maybe a little thinner, just a touch thinner. A little bit wider, a little bit thinner. Another good combo. I think these make a great combo. I think the paper is the same between these. I'm almost 90-something% positive the paper is the same. And this is a reprint of the old Cambridge Camo. All these are in over 100 years old, so we're talking 1920s. Maybe not quite over 100, but we're talking about in that range. So here's how they compare them. We get a good red. The red in the 180 looks slightly darker, but it could be because the fonts are larger, so you have more ink on the page. So that could be why. There we go. See how they compare? And I do believe these also make a good combo. Excellent Bible for carry, excellent Bible for study. Zoom back there. Good size. And the last one I want to compare to is the actual Bible this is based on. This is a scan of the Cambridge Large Print Text. Well, here is the Cambridge Large Print Text. This one actually is a Trinitarian Bible Society, which has a different cover and has family material in the front. It's the same that you find in that one. Other than that, it's exactly the same as Cambridge. Cambridge makes this text block, so it is the same text block. And here's how they compare. The paper in this one, I kind of like this paper a little bit better because they feel about the same thickness. You're talking about 32 to 33 GSM, in that range. The texture feels about the same, but I think the Church Bible Publishers has a little bit more water content in the paper, and that's part of where that sound comes from. This paper, slightly smoother to the touch, maybe. And that's really close, slightly smoother to the touch. But what makes the biggest difference to me is that there's no glare at all with this paper, where this one will have a little bit of glare under direct light. And this one has a little bit more of an ivory color, which I prefer. This is whiter in color. This is a little bit more cream in color, slightly. And here's how they compare. So both of these are really good choices. The thing is, with the Church Bible Publishers, you get an edge-lined cover. And you get a softer cover. And you still get Smythe sewn. And the paper is good enough. So I'm going to lean toward the better construction. And I do think this one is the better construction. So I'm going to lean toward this one. I love both. And also this is red letter. So if you want your red letter, that's really the only way you're going to get it. But, yeah, good Bible. I love that camouflage. But this will go on sale next week. I'll place links in the notes where you can make a purchase, and also where you can see the written review at BibleBuyingGuide.com, 2 ribbons, where I always go into more detail. And Church Bible Publishers did supply this in exchange for an honest review. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.